So anyway, that's a way lengthier demo than they need. But that was an excerpt of a piece that I composed. Probably I want to say that might have been maybe May or June of 2021. That's called the Drum Sonata. It was part of a piece by a group called Allison's All Stars, and that was T.H.X. And then in parentheses, part 3. It was the drum sonata part of that that composition. And the idea was, just to engage in a little bit of music theory nerdery for a bit. Sonata form is you take a melodic idea and you play it in the key of the tonic, and then then that's the first section. The second section is you play the same melodic theme, but in the key of the dominant, in the dominant key. So basically up a fifth. And then you go back, sometimes you go back and you do that cycle again, and then you have a section which they call the development section, and then they come back and they do the same melodic phrase both in the tonic key and then in the tonic key again. And that's sonata form. So I decided to do that using non-pitched instruments. So this was where to come back to what we're trying to do here. This is where I started messing around with this combination of 5 cowbells and 5. These are called Tollspire chimes, made by Sabian. And this was where I started messing around with these two these two collections of instruments, basically. And so I had that little melodic phrase, and as you can see, I played it on the cowbells first, and then the Tollspires. And it also, in a more subtle way, I was experimenting with the hi-hats as well, because I had the HHX ozone to represent the tonic along with the cowbells. And then I had the HH ozone X hat to represent the dominant key with the Tollspires. So I was kind of playing. I was doing multiple things at the same time. Plus, obviously, I'm switching hands and all this kind of fun stuff. So that's these two collections of instruments, and then also the other thing that I was that I had, because when I wrote this, I had the 360 kit and I was playing it on the back part of the kit, and rather than having the custom crash and the garage ride, I actually had this cymbal here, which is a Sabian custom shop AA 15-inch lampshade cymbal. The only reason I have this, I made the mistake one day of going on reverb.com and searching used Sabian prototypes. If you want to save money, don't ever do that. Because I found this whole list of cymbals that I really, really wanted that are, that are all one of a kind because they're custom shop vault cymbals. They don't, they're not, they basically were prototypes that never, that never went to market or something like that. So yeah, if you're trying to save money, don't ever do that. But so anyway, so we got, so we have these cowbells, just to run quickly through what the cowbells are. We have a LP Black Beauty on top. That's the highest pitch. Then we have the LP, this is a Black Beauty Senior cowbell. And then we have, I bought these all, from Guitar Center over the course of a couple of years. And so, I had these two. And then I happened to go back one day and they had replaced the Black Beauty Senior that I had bought with another Black Beauty Senior that happened to be about a half step lower. So I bought that one too. And then this is an LP Rock cowbell. And this is an LP Mambo cowbell. So I kind of have, I have those 5 cowbell pitches. And then the Sabian Tollspires, I mean, they used to be sold as a set. Now I'm not even sure if they still make them officially anymore. I might have had to special order these. But they're just a set of 5 splash cymbals, and they get, I think it might be a 1/4 inch. Yeah, it's a quarter inch bigger each cymbal. And so the small, again, just like the toms, the smallest, and this, same thing for the cowbells. The highest pitch is in the center, and they go out left, right from there. You probably saw that with the cowbells. Same thing with the Tollspires. And I use these sounds. I don't use them. Obviously, I don't use them as much as I use the toms, because they are a little bit. The Tollspires are they're a cool sound, but they're not always the right timbre for everything. And same thing with the cowbells. Most people, especially because of Will Ferrell, most people know what the timbre of a cowbell is, and it's a very specific one. You have to use it at exactly the right time, otherwise it sounds too comedic. So these I reserve the use of for very specific types of moments. But when I need them, they're perfect because they're another melodic voice, just like the toms. They're another melodic voice that's very short and very percussive, and that you can use in a lot of kind of edgy contexts. But at the same time, it's not the same timbre as the toms. So a lot like with this huge collection of cymbals that I have, they're picked. I pick them for specific moments where that timbre is the right one. It's the same thing with these cowbells. I pick them for specific moments where that timbre is the right one, where the toms would be redundant. So it's nice to have them there. Same thing with the Tollspires. The lampshade I use. The lampshade serves a lot of functions. I use it. I mean, it definitely fits with the Tollspire type of timbre. It's got that same kind of timbre, but it also, because it's bigger than the Tollspires, it also kind of fits within the custom and garage ride timbre as well. So it fits both camps very, very well. So I use this, and I use this one quite a bit. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I use that one quite a bit. I like this. I like this sound a lot. In terms of places to, see these instruments, certainly in the Herd of Bison song, the Nomad, what the drums are doing during the first verse is you have I'm playing eighth notes between the sick hats and the plague hats. They're just playing stereo eighth notes, basically going 1 and 2 and. And then on top of that, there's this very syncopated, kind of, as deliberately angular as I can make it, marimba line that's going on. And I decided to double that marimba line with the cymbals that I had on the kit. And so it kind of follows along. And at the very end of the phrase, there's this triplet pattern that descends, minor pentatonic descent. And it has 6 notes in it, which works out perfectly with the Tollspires and the lampshade, because that's 6 instruments. So that I use it. I definitely use them there, and it helps. It definitely helps the phrase. If all you were hearing was the marimba, it would sound like it cadences back to the tonic at the end of that phrase. But having the drums double that with a melodic voice also helps the cadence to feel a little bit more settled when it lands back on the 1. So that's a really cool. I love doing that kind of stuff. In terms of the cowbells, you can hear them in the Awakening. I use them, and also in the Return, I use the cowbells. And I used them primarily, at that point, I was using the micro snare or the foot snare. I was using that. I was definitely following the music, but I was trying to introduce. At that point, we were more than halfway through the album, so at that point I was trying to think of just outside the box, other types of timbres and options that were available to me. And so I went with I wound up playing this kind of unison fill between the cowbells and the double kick, basically just Hertas. And you can find that fill pop up in the Awakening several times, and also you can find it in the Return. It pops up several times. I also use both the Tollspires and the cowbells during the summons. We've already talked about how I was, the summons in the Jazz Ride video. We were talking about the Vanguard being used for the F minor riff, and the complex thin being used for the E flat minor riff. So same thing, going back to the idea of the drum sonata, where I had 2 different cymbal sounds, and I was using the cowbells and the Tollspires. I did the same thing there. The F minor riff is on the Vanguard and the Tollspires. And the E flat minor riff is the complex thin and the cowbells, and that gives it, it's the same. They're the same, more or less the same patterns, but it just helps them, again, more musicality. Gives them more musicality, gives it a different timbre, and makes it as close as I can get to making it really feel like the drums are following exactly what the music is doing. And then in terms of the infierce stuff, really I don't use the cowbells. I haven't used the cowbells yet for anything with infierce. I have used the Tollspires. I use them in the bridge of Doorway, just to kind of follow the melodic. There are some harmonics that get played, and I use these to follow those harmonics. Again, at that point, we're kind of playing a very slow, open, contemplative type of groove and mood, and so the toms would have been too declamatory. So I used the Tollspires just because they were softer, and I can get I could get the same kind of effect, but just not have it be so heavy. And then also in the song Tetiarawa, there's same thing. It's kind of like the 6/8 waltz guitar pattern, and it just had this little melodic pattern in it that I decided to copy with the Tollspires, and that went. And then just because I wanted to use it, but also because I needed to hit beat 1 right after that, I hit it with the lampshade So the full phrase went like that. So that's, you know, that's those three, you know, that's the Tollspires, the cowbells, and the lampshade. They're all phenomenal instruments, and they definitely fall in the category of just kind of extra things that are on the kit, but that serve exactly the purpose I need them to when I need them to be there. They're there. They don't get used all the time, but they're very useful when I do get to use them.
Wouldn't be this far if I wasn't persistent. It feels so distant. What does it mean when I've given up a lot and I barely reach my dreams? It just makes me want to scream. Every time I came close, it became a common theme. I've been wasting my journey, getting up too late and going to bed too early. It just become my fate or just a bad high Shirley. Should I start to worry? Should I start to hurry? Fuck it, I'ma stay right here. I never had a problem cause I've had no fear. I never thought a case can get me feeling so free away from the shit that scarred me and left me with PTSD in the time